Recorded live with little or no editing. It's Defense Up. I'm Run 7. How you doing? Today we're going over NoxErro. Now this defense really excites me. There are some stuff at the back end here that that might be my recommendation for a standard defense that everyone should be using. And I'm going to be putting out that video hopefully soon, that list of best all-time defenses and stuff. So stay tuned for that. Here at Defense Up, we grade on 5 different criteria. It's who you're using, your placement, your power levels, your ISOs, and what kind of mood I'm in. I'm feeling very chipper. I had a great interview with Venora today. You can catch that video right here where you're watching this on YouTube. It was a lot of fun. Let's get started on this though, because I'm all over the place and I'm super excited. I can't even contain myself with some of these defenses in here. This is an old defense, right? But the reason this defense is so frustrating is because it's so old, nobody runs it anymore. So we don't keep the counters in our lineup for our offensive teams. And you run across this and you're like, oh man, I gotta pull Silver Surfer off of that hybrid offense I used to come in here and strip charges. Or I gotta, rebuild that Inhumans team to come in here. Or, nobody has the 500k power armor to come in here and deal with this. And if you did, it would be risky at best. So this is kind of a troll team. And I think it's fantastic to be bringing it back because as the Eternals come into play and people are mixing and matching all these wonky defenses with the Eternals and stuff, this pops up and you're like, oh man, I put Black Bolt on defense with my Eternals. What am I gonna do? Anyway, I think this team is great for a comeback team. I think we should every once in a while pull it out of retirement and throw it in here. It's very disruptive. People have forgotten how to fight this team because it's so old. And if you want to improve it, you could throw Zemo in here. Now, Zemo has a lot of uses in a lot of places, but you could throw Zemo in here and really wreck shop with this defense. So I really like this. I like the placement. ISOs don't matter so much on this team. One thing that you can do is make them all fortifiers, right? And they die and revive and come back with a whole bunch of barrier every time they revive. Makes them that much tougher. Otherwise, putting some synergistic ISOs in here, like a striker, healer on this guy's great. Skirmisher over here is well, I'd probably go striker on this one instead of skirmisher, but that's something to do. Healer over here, that's pretty synergized. You could do lots of different things with this team. I kind of like, basically Raider, skirmisher, or striker on any of these guys could work. My favorite, though, is the fortifier on everybody because it makes them that much more stubborn to get through. Your power levels are a touch wonky, not that bad. Your tank is the lowest, and he's not all that squishy in the first place. So really, this kind of plays out okay. I like that your, who is this? This is a Trooper, and he's gonna be, when he dies and revives, he's spraying everybody, so you got him powered up a little bit more. I think this is great. This is great. I think we could do better on the ISOs. I think there's a couple of different things we could do better, but it's not gonna make that big a difference. And I think you could throw in Zemo and make this team better. But honestly, I like it. I like your placement is good. It's really hard. You're only going to be hitting, let's see, you're only going to be damaging, well, no, you could damage 3 tunes. So you might consider changing your placement with, yeah, you might consider swapping places with Sniper and Trooper. And that way, if they do come in with a power armor, which they wouldn't, then they're going to be only hitting 2 people at the same time. Something like that. Like I said, most of the changes that we could do to this team are pretty minuscule. So I'm gonna go A- because there technically are some tweaks, but I really dig this team kind of as a comeback from days gone by. Team number 2, Fantastic Four was SheHulk. Check this out. Skirmisher, Striker, Fortifier, that works. I'm sorry, Healer. I like her better as a Fortifier, but Healer's fine. She doesn't have a lot of synergy with any of those ISOs. I think I run mine as a Skirmisher or something. So Fortifier, Healer, it doesn't matter. Just maybe not Raider or Striker. I don't know if you're gonna get much value out of Raider or Striker on her, but Healer's fine. The placement's great, the ISOs are great, power level's okay. You might touch up Mr. Fantastic a little bit. We got tunes at 13. This defense does scale well. If you wanted to take them to 14, wouldn't kill you. But I think you're doing great. I think you're on the right path. You haven't over-invested in anything. I guess Invisible Woman is probably not as valuable as she used to be, but who cares on this team? You're getting great value out of her. So I think it's great. I think you're doing a fantastic job here. I'm going to go ahead and give you an A for this team. Team number 3, Wave 1 Avengers with Coulson in place of Black Widow. We used to replace Thor with Coulson, and he'd have that shield synergy that he gave the health boost to everybody except for Hulk. So Thor isn't getting that health boost from Coulson. And the only thing that I see that you could be doing better on this team is swap ISOs with Coulson and Thor. I think Thor should be a Raider, and I think Coulson should be a Striker, so that Coulson can go into those vulnerables and get turn meter rewind off of his basic assist. I think you'll get better value there. However, as a secondary pick, Raider's great for Coulson. He bounces around with AoEs and stuff like that. And of course, Thor, that a lot of people went Striker for the straight up damage boost. But as I said in a previous video, we're having the discussion about Raider actually being more damaging for Toons, especially when they do some adjacent attacking or AoE attacking. The math comes out that Raider gives you on average more damage. So more and more I'm thinking Raider is the way to go on Toons like Thor, like Kestrel. So yeah, it's a conversation that's being talked about right now. But for this team, definitely change him to a Raider, definitely change him to a Striker. Although this team isn't so important that at this investment level, it's like worth it, you know? But if you wanted to, like if you're somebody else and you're building this team from scratch, that's the way you want to go. For NoxErro, probably just leave it. The investment potential, the cost of that investment and the potential outcome isn't really worth it. You know, we're always talking about min-maxing your characters. What can you do to improve the garbage that you're using for defense? And that may not be worth it. Otherwise, everything else you're doing is fine. So I'm going to go B+ on this team. I think that it would be a lot better to switch those. Just not sure if it's worth it to do it at this late stage in the game. Okay, we got Mercs for number 4. I love the Mercs. I think you got great placement. I think you have really good ISOs. I was looking at this earlier. I'm curious why you went Skirmisher on this Merc. What's his face here? Korath the Pursuer. I'm curious why you went Skirmisher here, and I'm wondering if that's to put out an extra vulnerable over here for your Ultimates to play off of. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work out, but I think there's a thing going on there, and that might be what you're looking at. Otherwise, making him a Striker is better because, you know, Taskmaster is going to call the assist and get a triple tap off of the vulnerable that gets set up. Let's see. Riot Guard is the most underdeveloped toon, and unless you want to take him up to like 13, 14 or something like that, it's probably good enough. He's pretty thick. He's going to have healing coming off of Merc Lieutenant, and I think you're going to be okay there. But that's probably the only thing you could change is that Skirmisher and maybe add some gear to him. Don't know if it's worth it. This team has so many counters with that Uncanny X-Men and Magic coming out. It's like, wow, there's just another team that's going to absolutely dominate this defense. So it's hard for me to recommend you putting anything more into it. You've already got 655 on the Ultimus build. This is kind of the best you can do. If you've got a lot of green ISOs laying around, you might consider changing this, but I do see some potential in here, having that extra vulnerable that doesn't get cleaned up on the triple tap, allowing Ultimus to go back into it and do more damage. You put a lot of investment in Ultimus, might want to just keep that the way it is. So I'm going to go, I'm going to go ahead and give you an A for this. I don't see you doing anything really wrong here, and I'm okay with this, and I normally am not. I'd be more excited if that was a Striker, but I'm going to go ahead and give you an A for this just because I'm feeling like a real happy dude today. Okay, here we go with an Marauder build. Of course, not Emma. We replaced Emma with Flaming Hair Dude, Pyro. This is okay. This is okay. I think this is more of a filler. This is probably one of the least exciting teams that you're putting up here. You're taking away its potential to time out and replacing it with someone who does more damage. I'm curious as to why you went with Pyro instead of Magneto. A lot of times we get Magneto in here. I think that's probably because when I see Magneto, I think, okay, let's go X Factor, right? You go X Factor Rhino, even if it doesn't have Doom in it, you can go X Factor Rhino, they're gonna blow it up. This would be better for against an X Factor team because he's got that AoE attack and he's gonna be flaming everybody up. There's going to be lots of multiple targets for him to crit off of with that Raider ISO. So maybe this is well thought out. You're thinking about what kind of teams come into this, what's going to work best. You're checking your histories. If that's the case, please let me know, whether in Discord or if other people in the comments section, you want to write below what you think about this team, who's going to attack into it, what it's good for beating. I love talking about that stuff. I do read those comments and I learn a lot from it. I love Fortifier on Strife. We were talking about that earlier. I think it's a fantastic build. He has barrier built into his kit. He uses it effectively. I think you've got him built up to a good level. I think it's a great place to take your Strife. Minerva in here, reviving Strife if you get the kill on him. You've got Mystique, and I think that she might be overinvested in. I think she's good to stop at gear tier 12. She's not that important. She tends to not get hit because she's invisible. And so you don't really need her. You don't need to worry about her being squishy. She dodges and she's invisible a lot. It's not something you need to worry about. You may have overinvested in that one. She's not that important a member of the team. She just clears and copies those effects, gives them to Sinister, and then he spreads them around. Did you hear me go? Skirmisher on her is great. One thing you could do is you could take her to level 5 for that focus boost. Might be something to do. Maybe not worth it. I don't know. I love the ISOs. The placement's good. She's invisible, so you're protecting Minerva from chain attacks and stuff. I kind of like what you're doing here. I'm curious how this team is going to play out. I don't know if Pyro's a character who's worth bringing up any more than this, so I think it's an appropriate level of investment. Seems like a filler team, but it also looks like you put some thought into it, and it's a little bit different. So I'm actually going to give you an A for that team. So, yeah. Let's see. Number 6 is a Pymtech team. Wow, you really put your foot into this one, didn't you? Just dove into it. I'm not excited about Pymtech. You did replace Wasp with Squirrel Girl here, so that's cool. Wow, we're getting people following and cheering and bits going off here. Thank you for all that, guys. I appreciate that. I try to stay on topic with my videos, but chat likes to distract me as much as you can. If you could read chat, YouTubers, if you could read chat when I'm doing these videos. Okay. You put Squirrel Girl in here in place of Wasp, and that's okay. That gives a cleanse to the team, which is helpful because a lot of times people are trying to get like disrupts and ability blocks in here, trying to control Ghost from doing things. Like if you can get a disrupt on Ghost so she doesn't get all those evades, really helps. So having the cleanse on there to make sure the Ghost isn't disrupted, that's interesting. I'm curious what how much you developed your Wasp. And like, is Wasp developed more than Squirrel Girl, or did you happen to have Squirrel Girl built up more so you save the resources by putting her in here? Like, what was the thinking process behind this? It's very interesting to me, and I like it. I think it makes this team better. I think that's a good thing to do. Okay, you got dad and daughter over at one side. So I think the placement could be changed. I think we should put Ant-Man over here. Maybe. No, let's not. Okay, so for this one, without Wasp, for this one, I think you should go dad and daughter, and then you should go Ghost, because she is the dodgy one, and you're keeping her cleansed of disrupt, so she should have those evades. And then go Wasp, and then go Squirrel Girl. I like Fortifier on Strife, or not Strife, I like Fortifier on Strife too. I like Fortifier on Stature because she is a bit squishy for a tank. She does call a taunt, that does help. It's a pretty good pick for her. There's other things you can do, like Raider. She doesn't have a lot of great synergy with any of them. You do need to make Ant-Man a skirmisher though, because there's a call out to Ant-Man and Yellow Jacket, thank you. Ant-Man and Yellow Jacket get a call out to Ghost as a striker. You want both of them as skirmishers, so that one should be changed. There's not a lot of damage potential coming off of Ant-Man to change him to a striker to multiply that. He does AoEs. I think the Raider would be a better secondary choice than striker, but definitely change him to skirmisher. You're going to get way more value out of that one. Squirrel Girl, of course, is a healer. Not much reason to change her to anything else. So, a placement change. And that ISO change on Ant-Man, props for something new. Interesting that you developed this team. I don't know if it's a team really worth investing in, but you're using it really well. So I'm gonna go with a B+ for this. I do like this Squirrel Girl right here. I think that's fantastic. I do. Number 7, Uncanny with Magic. All right, this might be the first time I've actually got to do this team on defense up. Best thing to do with this team on defense is to put them on offense. Yeah, I think so. I'm watching other people attack into some of these bigger ones because I think mine's only 450 or something like that, 500. And I'm watching other people go into this, and it seems like some of the pre-existing counters to this team before Magic came out still work, you know? Magic requires a pretty hefty T4 investment. I think 2 at the very minimum need to be on this team, right? Like if she doesn't have that passive, Black Order beats this team. If she has the passive, Black Order cannot beat this team. It's a 1 T4 difference. Like, there's a lot of interesting things that go on with this. If people know what they're doing, they will beat this team. But it's new, and new always stumbles people up. So it's a good time to try them on defense. But I think in the future, you should be taking them off of defense and using them on offense. They're great for things like those big Merc teams, right? If you're coming across like if you came across 1 million Mercs, you could probably beat them with this team. You could. Yeah, I think they have great uses elsewhere. You've got Phoenix War ready. That's as good as you really need to go because the ISO doesn't carry over to Dark Phoenix. You've got her built up real high. That's cool because remember, Phoenix summons Dark Phoenix. Magic summons Dark Phoenix number 2. And the stats are off of, the first one is off of her, and the first one, the stats are off of her. So if you have a really small Magic, that second Phoenix that comes around, isn't that great? So I'm glad you got her built up. You must have spent a pretty penny doing it. I purchased the offers too. I wanted to play with it, so it's a fun character. I'm not sure I could recommend it to other people as something to spend their money on, but I'm having fun. And your Colossus, looks like you got him tricked out well with the proper ISOs. The proper T4s. I don't know how effective the Skirmisher ISO is on him. He doesn't counterattack when hit. People take damage when they hit him. So I don't think that vulnerable gets placed when he's attacked. I'm not certain of that. I'll have to check that. Somebody leave a comment if you know how that works out. It's not, I don't think it's like Blob. We got Striker over here. That's good. Skirmisher here. That's okay. Raider works too. Skirmisher works to make sure that you're the focus boost landing those stuns, those slows. That's probably a good pick. I think I'm running mine as a Raider just because I'm trying to like get that crit damage on those AoEs. Definitely want Magic as a Striker. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that Skirmisher's a bad pick for Colossus because Skirmisher's just such a powerful ISO 8. So, Reminix says if the passive says counter, it counts. Thank you, Reminix. So we'll have to read up on that. I'll put that in the comments and make sure. But I don't know. It's been so long since I read Colossus. I'm waiting to put my T4s in him. The T4s do help him a lot, in my opinion. I think that he scales pretty well with the T4 investment. It's just I've got other things that are more important than him right now. You know, like Web Warriors and stuff. All in all, this is a great team. It's a fun team. I think it should be used on offense, though. I think you're really close on a lot of this. In fact, I think you're doing great. I'm going to give you an A for it. The only real recommendation for it is put it on offense. Put it on offense soon because it can be countered. The counters aren't anything new either. It's just the traditional counters. They're just made a little tougher. Team number 8. This is the one that really excites me. I saw this and I was like, wow, why am I not doing this? So the Inhumans hybrid that we see on defense so often with like Silver Surfer and Coulson and maybe Crystal in there, we see that a lot, right? Because it works, it's tough, it's not impossible to beat or anything, but what the hell else are you gonna do unless you start seeing those Zemo 1.0s like you've got on defense? So throwing the Eternals in here doesn't feel like a waste for a couple of reasons. One, you put Loki in here who speeds up Cersei. Lots of synergy there. That really helps. That forces them to come in with an Eternals team that has some sort of higher speed preferential, like a Loki Emma, right? So now they've already got 4 characters picked out for how they have to come into this team. You've got Yo-Yo in here who is putting that offense down on them when they attack. Now, I don't know how that plays out with Icarus because he kind of clears things before he attacks. I'm not sure the turn order on that one. That's another thing I got to look into because this one caught me by surprise this morning when I went over it. And then you've got Black Bolt in here. Sweet looking Black Bolt, by the way. He's looking pretty good. he's going in on the pings, making sure people are dead and stay dead. So that might really help. Especially if you if they come in and they misjudge the timing on this with an Eternals counter, and they end up getting ulted by Icarus first, and if your Icarus knocks him into the red, your Black Bolt might finish him off. It could. There's a lot of things that could go wrong going into this team. I think this is a great place to put an Eternals defense in here. So, yeah, it's very interesting to me. I like it. I really want to play this team. I want to dive into this. I want to see how it works. I want to practice against this team, and I want to put it on my defense. I'm not certain of the combat mechanics, and when I come up and see stuff on Defense Up where I'm not certain of the combat mechanics, it really gets me excited because it's new, it's interesting, and I want to recommend it to people, but at the same time, I'm nervous that I'm like, wow, I'm so excited. What am I missing, right? What am I missing? So anyway, for me, this is an A. I'm really excited about it. Actually, I'd give it an A+ if I understood it better, because it's so new and exciting and you're using older teams with great effect. I don't see you wasting anything because that old Inhumans hybrid it's old, right? It's old. And we were kind of looking for something better to do with it. And I think throwing the Eternals in on it is fantastic. I like your placement. I like the ISOs. There are conversations going around now about making Icky a Raider and Cersei a striker. People made fun of me when they first came out, and I said, hey, she's got a lot of control in her kit. What about making her a striker? And everyone's like, oh, you're stupid, Seven. That's a bad idea. And now people are having that conversation about making her a striker. Whatever. You should go 1.5 on Yo-Yo. I just think you've got a lot of investment in her, and that focus boost really helps, man. Go for it. You could do the same thing with Loki, although, he's really here to spawn in for the speed. Yeah, that's really what he's about. I just love that 50% focus boost, though. I'm going to give you an A for this team. I'm really excited about it. I wish that you were in my War League. I wish that I could practice on this. I wish that my teammates would set up something like this so I could practice it, because it looks like a lot of fun. And so thank you for showing that to me. Leave comments down below. How would you attack into this? How do you think this plays out? Give me some ideas, because I'm going to be studying this one. And if it works the way I think it is, I might be recommending this to more people. Team number 9. Here's another good one. This is good. A New Warriors with what is traditionally kind of a plug and play couple of tunes. I like this. Personally, I think New Warriors is such a powerful team that they should be used on offense. We should always be making sure we get at least 10 war wins every war, right? You want to go for that full clear. Everybody in your alliance needs to get those 10 wins. So maybe this team should be used on offense, but as a defense, man, this is scary. Look at the teal gear on Cloak already. Tell me how Dark Dimension works, because you're way ahead of me. So I think, let's see, you're going to be giving offense up to Surfer. He's adjacent to Dagger. That's good. Offense up is going to be going to Deathpool. That's good. I don't think Cloak's going to need the offense up because he's got the teal gear. He's ahead of the game. Skirmisher, striker, healer. So you only have one skirmisher putting vulnerables out with 3 strikers. However, it's hard for me to recommend changing those to somebody else or anybody who's building this team. The only thing I can say, if you're building this team from scratch, you could run Silver Surfer as a Raider. There's a case to be made, right? He's got a lot of adjacent stuff going on. That might be a way to get more vulnerables on the field for these guys to double tap into. It's something. Okay, let's see. I think your placement's great. I think Emma helps this team out. I'm not going to say that the New Warriors are slow by any means, but there is an opportunity to get in front of them with a few different hybrid counters, right? Emma helps that out by slowing the other team down and closing that window, so it's a good pick there. Silver Surfer just throws in some RNG into your defenses with his ability blocks, with his double taps coming back and stealing and putting negative effects on or giving negative effects and stealing the positive ones and stuff like that. So there's a lot of good things going on. And then the New Warriors are just a really amazing team, throwing out all those debuffs and stuff like that. I'm not even sure what I would do to counter this team. Well, at a million 18, I'm going to let another teammate do it because I don't have anything that's going to take this. You're out of my league, buddy. I can't advise you to do anything better. Like I said, other than maybe moving him on to offense. But if you're getting your 10 wins every war, hey, more power to you. I like this team. It gets an A. And team number 10, with no surprise, H for H at the back of the order where it should be. Raiders, Skirmisher, Striker, Fortifier, 100%. Great placement, great ISOs, great investment. Really like what you're doing here. 1 million team, it's fantastic. For those of you who are building heroes for hire, I recommend 400 is all you need to do. That pretty much demands that they need to come in with something either like a crazy Eternal Hybrid to punch down into, which is kind of a waste, or they got to bring in an Infinity Watch or a Weapon X at that 400 level. That's all you really need. NoxErro is, they're operating in the big leagues, obviously. And so the million defense, this is a frustrating team. I've gone into million power H for H teams with my Infinity Watch and had to CC a couple of times just because a little RNG here and there. Like, it's a tough team. It's why I got Omega Red. It's why I built that Weapon X team up, because I hate this team. And I hate when I see it a million power levels and I'm like, okay, I gotta put a little bit more into Wolverine, I guess. So you're doing a great job. This is a fantastic defensive lineup that you've got going on here. Thank you for sharing it with us. I hope that people learned something from this. I certainly did. I'm going to be doing some research. Leave comments below. I think we've got a lot to talk about on this one. Remember, guys, don't just have a good game. Be good to yourselves and others too, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.